The DJI Flip is not only a drone for close-range vlogging, it is also an excellent model for landscape videography and photography. In this video I will show you all the settings needed to get the best possible cinematic footage. The Flip can be used autonomously, but only for some automated short-distance moves. A smartphone or tablet can also control it. However, in this case, several important functionalities are missing, and the signal transmission is limited to a very close range. The Flip can only be purchased with a remote controller, either the RCN3 or the RC2. And this makes sense, as a controller is needed to make the most of this drone for landscape videography. In this video I will show you how to use the Flip with a remote controller and DJI Fly app. If you are mainly interested in photography, I have made a similar guide for still images. You can watch it by clicking on the link on the screen. At the top of the main screen of DJI Fly app, some useful indicators show the status of the aircraft. On the top left we find the current speed mode, Cine, Normal or Sport. Moving to the right, we find an indication of the remaining battery life, with the time left until return to home, forced landing and depletion of the battery. Then an indicator of the signal strength, the status of the obstacle avoidance system, and the number of satellites connected. At the bottom left, we find an icon to access the map of the area. Next to it, we can check the horizontal and vertical distance from the home point, and the vertical and horizontal speed. In DJI Fly app, there are three main areas to set the different options for filming. The settings through the three-dot icon on the top right of the screen, the photo-video menu window above the shutter, and the exposure values at the bottom right of the screen. I will focus only on the important one for video. The Flip has a basic obstacle avoidance system with a single sensor to detect obstacles in front of the aircraft. In obstacle avoidance action there are two options, brake and off. When brake is selected, the aircraft stops and hovers if an obstacle is detected. When filming, I select brake to have some protection, although some care is needed as lateral obstacles are not detected. Scrolling down to the bottom, open the Advanced Safety settings to select the behavior in case of signal loss. The option descend must be avoided, as the aircraft could land on someone's property, on bushes or on a lake. In most cases, I set it to return to home, unless when flying indoors, under trees or in confined space, in which case it is better to choose hover. The Control tab of Settings contains several important options to control the camera movement in Gain and Expo settings. In the window, we can set the value independently for each speed mode, Cine, Normal and Sport. Max horizontal, ascend and descend speed are self-explanatory. Max angular velocity is the speed of the camera rotation when panning using the left stick of the remote control. I suggest setting it to a low value in Cine mode for more control. Yaw smoothness controls the behavior when releasing the stick after panning. With the minimum value, the rotation will stop abruptly. I prefer a value just above the midpoint for a smoother move. Further down, we can control the gimbal movement. Max control speed determines how fast the gimbal will tilt up or down. I like to set a low value for precise moves. Tilt smoothness controls how quickly the gimbal will stop after a move. I prefer a value slightly above the midpoint. In the button customization window, we can assign specific actions to the two buttons on the back of the controller, to the scroll wheel, or to a combination of the wheel with each button. I like to set the C1 button to recenter tilt down gimbal, and the C2 to cruise control. Cruise control is a useful feature for footage. After starting a movement, in this case advancing diagonally to the left, if we activate cruise control, the aircraft will continue to fly in the same direction at the same speed, so we can concentrate on adding other movements like ascending, descending, or tilting the gimbal. The menu of the camera tab of settings is context sensitive. In video mode, it shows different options from photo mode. After selecting video in the video photo menu, all the items in the camera tab will relate to filming. Besides the traditional 8-bit mode normal, the Flip has a 10-bit color profile, D-Log-M. When this profile is chosen, the image on the screen will appear flat, but we can activate Color Display Assist to add contrast and saturation. The histogram is the only tool I use for exposing, so I keep it always on. I leave space between the last bar to the right and the right edge of the histogram to prevent burning the highlights. Picking levels highlights in red the areas in focus. I only use it when focused manually on a subject close to the camera. Overexposure warning, when selected, shows zebra lines on overexposed areas. I find it distracting and never use it. Then we can overlay grid lines. I add the one in the middle to apply the rule of thirds. With drones, we often have the horizon line in the frame. Rather than having it in the middle, it is more interesting to divide the scene into thirds and have it either on the higher or the lower third. On other occasions, especially for top-down shots, we might want asymmetric framing, in which case the same overlay helps position the subject. Further down there is a function style with two sliders to adjust sharpness and noise when filming in normal mode. Some users find normal slightly too sharp. They can compensate by setting the sharpness value to -1 or -2. This is an example of footage taken at different sharpness value, zoomed in at 200% to better appreciate the difference. On the right of the screen, above the red shutter, we find the photo-video menu. We can select photo, video, master shot, quick shots, hyperlapse and panorama. I will focus on the video mode. This mode has two options. Normal is the one we use on most occasions. In slow motion mode, it is possible to shoot footage at 100 frames per second in 4K for extreme slow-mo. To the left of the shutter there is a zoom icon. By tapping on it we toggle from normal to 2x zoom, then 3x, and back to normal. By holding and dragging we can apply a progressive zoom, although smoother results are obtained by using the scroll wheel of the remote control. The icon at the bottom toggles between auto and manual focus. Most of the time we use autofocus. Manual is only needed with targets close to the camera. In this mode we can slide on the icon for focusing. The exposure window is on the lower part to the right. The icon to the right toggles between auto and manual. In auto mode, the only control on exposure is through the overall exposure value, EV, the first icon to the right. I prefer to set the EV value at around 0.3 to avoid overexposing. In manual mode, we can set independently the ISO value and the shutter speed for more control. The MM value at the bottom cannot be modified. It displays the luminosity resulting from the values chosen above, compared to the optimal exposure computed by the software. Correct exposure is crucial for high-quality footage. It would take too long to cover it here. If you want to know more about the exposure setting, you can watch my specific video clicking on the link on the screen. It was made for the Mini 4 Pro, but the settings are almost the same in the Flip. The next icon is for resolution and frame rate. We have the following options: 4K, 2.7 vertical, 1080p vertical and 1080p. Unlike the Mini 4 Pro and Mini 3, the camera of the Flip cannot rotate to take footage in portrait mode. This is where the two vertical resolutions come into play. Below the resolution there are options for different frame rates. The most widely used are 24 and 30 frames per second. The higher frame rates are for slow motion. In the same window we can click on the icon on the bottom left to access other video settings. At the top, the white balance value. It is possible to use auto white balance by tapping on the icon on the left, but I suggest avoiding it as it leads to unwanted shift of colors when the luminosity changes. The value normally used in sunny conditions is around 5500 kelvins. Click on this link to watch my video about quality of footage with a Flip. And don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video interesting. Thank you.